Jack, I love you. 5 years after my divorce, I said those words to my first love from 30 years ago. It took me 3 months to say those 3 little words. This story begins the day I came home. It was a Tuesday afternoon in early spring. Grace Miller was 52 years old, driving a rented sedan down a highway she had not traveled in 30 years. The divorce had been final for 5 years now, but some days, it still felt like yesterday. 27 years of marriage ended with a signature. It took me 5 more years to figure out what comes next. She glanced at the rearview mirror and saw a woman she barely recognized anymore. The eyes were the same, but something behind them had dimmed. The lines around her mouth held stories she never planned on living. You know you are over 50 when the radio buttons shrink and the memories get huge. The radio hummed softly, and she reached over and turned the dial, searching for something familiar. And then it came, a song from another lifetime. The Carpenters. The melody floated through the car like a ghost that had been waiting for exactly this moment. Oh great, the Carpenters. I came home for peace, not emotional demolition. Her mother used to hum it while making breakfast, standing at the stove in her faded apron, stirring oatmeal, humming about angels and starlight. Grace pulled the car to the shoulder and let the tears come. She cried for her mother, gone 3 years now. She cried for the marriage that had quietly suffocated under the weight of silence. She cried for the 5 years she had spent figuring out how to be alone. 52, and the same old songs still knock me flat. Some aches just do not expire. I spent 27 years becoming someone else's wife, someone else's mother, and then 5 years learning how to be Grace again. Somewhere along the way, I forgot there was a Grace before all that. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and looked at the road ahead. Maybe it is time to remember the woman I was before all that. She put the car in drive and kept going. The sign appeared 20 minutes later, green and white, slightly rusted at the edges. Welcome to Willow Creek, population 3,247. I am really doing this. The road into town was narrower than she remembered, and the trees had grown taller, leaning over the asphalt like old friends waiting to embrace her. She passed the gas station where she had her first summer job, the church where she sang in the choir, the corner where she kissed a boy under a streetlight the night before she left for college. That boy. I had not thought about him in years, or maybe I just told myself I had not. Everything looked the same, and yet none of it was. Grace Miller had come home, but she was not sure yet if home would remember her. Okay, Grace, you survived the highway, your memories, and the Carpenters. Let us see if you can survive the front door. The house that held her childhood. The house still sat up on Maple Hill, stubborn as always, white paint peeling, shutters slightly crooked, like an old woman who had stopped caring what people thought. Looks like the house and I have a few things in common these days, both a little worn, both still standing. Grace parked in the gravel driveway and sat for a long moment, hands still on the wheel. Lord, give me strength. If a raccoon jumps out at me, I am packing for Florida. She stepped out of the car and walked to the front door. Hi, Mom. I am back. Took me 5 years to figure out where I belonged. Turns out it was here all along. The key stuck in the lock, the way it always had, and she had to jiggle it twice, then push with her shoulder. Some things never change. This lock has been stubborn since Carter was in office. The door creaked open, and the smell hit her instantly. Dust, old books, and something faint beneath it all, like lavender and lemon furniture polish, her mother's smell. Every old house comes with a smell. This one smells like Mom's apron, and a whole lot of memories I was not ready for. Old houses remember everything. You are still here somewhere, are you not, Mom? Hiding in these walls. She stepped inside. The living room was frozen in time. The same floral sofa covered now in a thin white sheet. The same wooden clock on the mantel stopped at 4:47. The same family photos climbing the wall beside the stairs. Grace walked slowly, touching surfaces, leaving fingerprints in the dust like signatures on a contract with the past. On the wall near the kitchen, she found it. Her high school graduation photo from 1990, a girl with big hair and a smile full of certainty. Look at her. Not a clue in the world, did she? She thought life would cooperate. She thought she would conquer the world. Instead, the world just wore her down. At 18, I had plans. At 52, I have a rented car and 2 suitcases. Life has got the strangest sense of humor, does it not? In the kitchen, her mother's cookbook still sat on the counter, the spine cracked, pages stained with decades of cooking. Grace opened it and a handwritten note fell out. Her mother's handwriting. Neat, slanted, familiar. Grace's favorite, apple pie. Make sure the crust is cold. She always notices when it is not. Grace pressed the note to her chest and stood in the silence. I noticed, Mom. I always noticed. Cold crust, warm heart. Mom had a rule for everything, even pie. The afternoon light came through the window, painting golden rectangles on the worn linoleum, and dust particles floated in the beams, drifting like tiny memories that had nowhere else to go. She opened the window, letting the spring air rush in, filling the house with the first breath it had taken in 3 years. Okay. One room at a time, one day at a time. That is all I can do. Well, the house is still standing. And so am I. Guess we both made it through day 1. Evening on the porch. By the time Grace finished unloading the car, the sun had begun its slow descent, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. She sat on the porch swing, the same one her father had hung the summer she turned 10, and the chains creaked as she rocked, a sound so familiar it made her chest ache. This is real. I am really here. Her phone buzzed with a message from Emily. Mom, did you make it? Call me when you are settled. I still think this is crazy, but I love you. Grace smiled and typed back. I am here. The house is old but standing, kind of like me. Love you too. We will talk soon. Kids always think they have got it all figured out. And they do, until life shows up. Honey, I survived the 80s. I will be just fine. She slipped the phone into her pocket and let her gaze drift down the hill. Willow Creek spread out below her like a quilt stitched from memories. Main Street with its old storefronts, the church steeple catching the last light, the elementary school where she learned to read, to add, to dream of places far away. I spent my whole life trying to leave this town, and now it is the only place I want to be. Funny how that works. A dog barked somewhere in the distance. A lawnmower hummed its final passes of the day. Somewhere a screen door clapped shut, and someone was yelling at their husband about the trash. Small-town life has not changed at all. Grace pulled her cardigan tighter and watched the streetlights flicker on, one by one, like small promises being kept. And then she saw it. A truck, old and dark blue, moving slowly up the hill. It passed under the streetlight, and for one brief second she saw the driver's profile. Her heart stopped. Strong jaw, silver hair now, but the same shape, the same way he held his head, slightly tilted, like he was always listening for something only he could hear. No. It cannot be. The truck slowed, just for a moment, just long enough for her to wonder if he had seen her too. Then it turned the corner and disappeared into the purple evening. Grace sat frozen, her pulse drumming in her ears. Jack? The name felt strange on her lips, a word she had not spoken in decades, a door she had locked and thrown away the key. My heart has not sprinted like that in years. There are a million blue trucks in this whole state, but only one that ever made my heart forget how to behave. The swing creaked, the crickets began their nightly chorus, and the stars blinked on, one by one, indifferent to the chaos suddenly blooming in her chest. It is just a truck. Could be anybody. This town is full of old trucks. But her hands were trembling. Some doors stay locked for 30 years straight, and then one evening, they crack open on their own. Grace leaned back in the swing and looked up at the sky. The first evening star hung low on the horizon, bright and steady, like a question waiting to be answered. I came back to find myself, not to find him. The wind stirred the leaves of the old oak tree in the yard, and for the first time in years, Grace Miller felt something she had almost forgotten existed. Not quite hope, not yet, but the possibility of hope. The past does not knock. It just rolls up in an old blue truck, and sometimes that is enough to start again.